Broadcasting laws have followed each new development in broadcasting technology. The 1926 Act setting up 2RN, the 1960 Act with the coming of television, and now there's a new major bill before the Dáil. In it there are many amendments to the old legislation, but there's also a new bit of technology which it seeks to legislate for, the growth of pipe television and the enormous new fields which this opens in the field of community television. Community television has already come to Ireland in a modest way in Ballyfermot, where the local community association has been putting out its own weekly programme since Community Week last September, using a spare channel on the local pipe television network. So we went down to see them making this week's programme. This is the television centre, Ballyfermot. An hour earlier, it was the office of the local relay company taking in the rentals for the pipe television. Now it's a bustle of activity with equipments, lights and people arriving for tonight's programme. There's make-up for Jerry Doyle, who'll be singing the opening number.
It's beautiful.
And meanwhile, scripts are being finished and put in order, and tonight's guests are being told when they'll be on.
Second song.
The programme content is organised and put together by the Ballyfermot Community Association, and a television subcommittee has particular responsibility. All the technical hardware is provided by the local relay company. They provide the technical operators too, but have no say in what goes into the programme. And a last-minute tune-up, it's almost time for air.
Let's go into some bar and have a couple of drinks. You've changed my mind a lot of things, you know, you're really teaching me how to think.
I have in the studio with me Padraic Stack, well known, I'm sure, to all of you, as the Irish international rugby star.
Tonight's topical and sporting interview will be followed by local news from the various street committees, and there's both tension and a healthy informality as the next speakers take their places and wait for their turns.
Each week, there will be prizes.
Mary Farrell is the main coordinator of what goes into each programme.
£15 and 3 and 10. Each fourth week, there will be an accumulated prize of £200.
And then it's time for a musical number, introduced by the programme's anchorman John Hammond.
Entertainment, the second entertainment of the evening, and it comes from Golden Dawn.
Do you want to know the reason why I sit here all alone? Do you want to know the reason why my love for you is known? Do you want to know the reason? Does it make you wonder why? Or are you just content to still let me go by?
And of course, there has to be the sports results.
Ballyfermot versus St. Dan's, Ballyfermot 4-5 and St. Dan's 3-8. Good players on the Ballyfermot side were Declan Keown, Gary Blount, Pat and Brian Murray, and Alan Armstrong and Paul Cahan.
Local issues also can get an airing. And here, Tommy Phelan is being interviewed about the sort of school developments the Community Association would like to see for Ballyfermot.
In Dublin, for a new type of college which would cater for all the needs of boys and girls, adults, etc., part-time courses, full-time courses, day release course from college. And the girl who wants to be a hairdresser could be learning in the same college, under the same roof, as a girl who wants to be a secretary.
Television here, divested of its complexity and mystique, and helping a community to discover itself. That was the scene down in the temporary studio in Ballyfermot preparing for tonight's programme. The programme itself was seen this evening in many homes in the area from 7 o'clock to 8, when they could choose between Action 75 on RTE, Bonanza on UTV, Tomorrow's World and Top of the Pops on BBC One, the Open University on BBC Two, and their own local programme. We're going to show you a brief extract from tonight's hour-long programme, and for those of us who can't see the difference, I should add that unlike me right now, it's in colour.
But you stuck with me because you knew there was something inside. Now I finally saw I really had nothing to hide. People used to put me down, you know they really tried. Yes, they tried.
once again, and a hearty welcome once again to Ballyfermot Television from all of us. Now, tonight we've got a great show lined up for you, with three musicians, Jerry Doyle, as you heard at the start of the programme, good companions, and Al O'Donnell. And we have a host of other interviews for you, the first of which is about to take place now, as I have in this studio with me Fergus Slattery, well known, I'm sure, to all of you, as the Irish international rugby star. Now, Fergus, there's a lot of interest in Ballyfermot about rugby at the moment, especially in the Ireland's international matches, which go out on television, and a lot of people go along to see them at Lansdowne Road. Now, you have one against France on Saturday. Could you tell us what do you think of your chance of winning there?
Well, the French are probably the most unpredictable side of all the sides that are playing international rugby today. Irrespective of what personnel the French have on their side, it's very hard to define just how strong they're going to be. Simply because of their temperament. They play with a certain gay abandon, which on one day will bear fruit, and the next day will get them into all sorts of trouble. So it really is very, very difficult to say just how one will do. I think they're the one side that you assess when you go on the field. It's very difficult to really say what sort of chance one has.
Any prediction as to the exact result on Saturday, or the margin of points between the teams?
No, I think overall one looks at an international game or any game of that level and take it that it's a 50-50, and you have 80 minutes on the day, and that's when it all happens.
Fergus Slattery, thank you very much for coming in. I hope you have the best of Irish luck on Saturday.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. And finally, an under-11s team is being organised for the community games. Any boys interested in joining should contact Paddy Monaghan of 34 Deases Road, who is team manager of the community. Contact the community centre on Ballyfermot Road. Now, the news of the week. Due to public demand, a fish co-op is opening tomorrow morning, Friday, at 11 o'clock. Now, fresh cod and whiting will be on sale at the cheapest possible prices, up to 15 pence a pound, and that's cheaper than anywhere else. Don't forget, the cheapest fish in the area will be on sale outside the community centre on Ballyfermot Road tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, so all hop along there for your Friday fish.
This week's news from Kylemore Road. This Saturday at 3 p.m. in the lawn, the Kylemore Road Sports will be run off. This is the chance for all the children on Kylemore Road to take part in the sports. Then they will go into their street sports, then into the area finals, and finally into the Ballyfermot finals on the 27th of April. Those entering must be under the appropriate ages for the different events. All parents are invited along to the lawn to watch their children take part. Cliggy and Part Committee. The 4 members who volunteered at the AGM to go onto the street committee have had their first meeting last Monday night. They have found that they cannot function as a street committee with only 4 members, and also make presentation to the area committee. There is no sports officer for this road committee. Anyone who might be interested should come along and would be made very welcome. Helpers need not become street committee members. In the beginning, £100 was spent on sports gear for the children on this road. It's now lying idle because they have no sports officer. Anyone interested in helping should contact either Mrs. Gaffney or Mr. Doyle. Deasy's Road Street Committee. They have sold out on their outing to the Camelot on March the 7th, and there are no more tickets available. They will be having a financial statement given to their members in the coming week.
BCA TV special notice. Because of the amount of objections that have been raised about the time on Thursday evening, Ballyfermot Television goes out. We are now, due to public demand, changing the time of the programme to 8 o'clock on Wednesday night.
Mary Farrell, an ambitious project there, and you're really the one who I think coordinates the getting together of the programme each week. What's really involved in that?
Well, there's quite a lot of work and people involved in the making of that programme. As you can see, the programme is sort of sectioned into different parts. We have street news, local news, sports news, and then, items of interest, like we had Fergus Slattery along this week. Now, there's different people involved in getting people along to the programme each week. For example, the street news is fed into the community centre by the local street committees. We have a sports federation, and this is a coming together of all sports clubs in the area, and they would feed in sport results to the community centre again for television. We also have a local person in the community who will round up all the local entertainers. He's drawn up a registry of local entertainers, and he also has contacts with outside entertainers who are willing to come along to Ballyfermot and go on television. So then when I get this information, I just coordinate it and try get a programme together each week. That's it.
Dave Connolly, how much local interest in it? In fact, do people turn off the other programmes to watch this?
Yeah, well, I think this is something that has been found over the period of time that it's been in Ballyfermot. The fact that it is a great means of communication, and it was started in Community Week, and the participation in Community Week rose as the week went on, as more and more people watched the television. Now, you pointed out earlier that one of the problems attached at the moment is that it was clashing with Top of the Pops, which meant that there were fights in numerous houses in the area. So because of that, we've changed to a Wednesday night. We're hoping to introduce a non-stop draw in the area, and we'll hope to do this on the television, which will mean that you'll have a very high interest. Also, I think one of the most important things from our point of view is that the facilities we've got have to be the best. We feel that it's sort of the duty of the relay companies to provide the best possible facilities, which will allow us then to make the best possible programmes. And this would mean that we would be able to at least make up to the standard of RTE or whatever else, means that when people turn over, that they wouldn't turn off because it was an amateur production. I think the main thing in community television is that it's the people's television, in the sense that it's based in a local community, and it breaks down this barrier that television has created as if it's something outside of communities. And this means that people begin to feel it's their own station and begin to relate to it as such.
John Sweeney, can I come to you as president of the Ballyfermot Community Association? You, I think, have really got to control the output. It is the Community Association's responsibility what goes out. How do you do that?
Well, again, we rely a great deal on the coordinators and the studio control that this thing will happen. But again, it's a developing situation. We're learning as we go along, and we find out from research and from other means the kind of programs that the people are looking for. But certainly the council has a responsibility, and in this direction I'd like to say that the broadcasting bill that's now going through, I think here is one vehicle to which I think we can give a great deal of help to the politicians and to those who are going to work. In fact, I don't think we can be left out at this stage by the kind of experience we've got.
Well, now, at the moment, you're really operating in a rather limbo state with this bill coming up, which is going to attempt to control community television and the use of the pipe networks. But what about in this limbo state of the problem of the possibility of libel, for example?
Well, again, this is one of our fears, and I don't think we should be daunted in going ahead. It's a pioneering thing, and I believe we should go ahead with this particular thing. But again, I come back to this broadcasting bill, that here is an opportunity, a golden opportunity for it to get something really done. In fact, it's a crisis time where broadcasting is concerned, if I may say that. But crisis is also an opportunity to bring about positive change for the good. And another thing that must be taken into account, that a community development is not a development of isolation. And if technology of television can give us an opportunity to expand and bring others into the thing, which we need, which we invite people to do, I think this is a good thing. We don't want to be isolated. Coming together, that's the most important thing of television. That's what it's all about. And lastly, community television, with respect to the national and broadcasting, we're not in competition with them. We can get over the message that the ordinary guy is trying to get across better, in our opinion, than the national man, because he is a whole nation to think about. We think of our own community with the hope of getting other communities to do their particular thing, and in the long run,
I'd like to
work together.
just hold you there for a second, because I want to go on to Jerry Fitzgerald. You, in fact, have the technology in your hands with the franchise for the pipe television in the area. You're paying the costs of the the hardware which is going to make these programs possible, and indeed the manpower which is going in to service it. What are you getting back for it, and why are you doing it? Surely this is all dead loss to your, as a commercial concern.
Well, I would say the approach we have, Michael, is that it is not primarily a commercial operation, though indeed for its good health it ought to be. Local community television must survive on its own merits somehow. I would say that a company entering it, like us, sticks its neck out in a big way, because in fact Phoenix Relays publishes the programme. It is therefore liable, jointly and severally, with whoever utters a libel. And we do not control the programme content. We don't even know what programme's going to be on until we arrive on the scene.
Is
not
the
even during the
situation
programme.
technically illegal?
Technically it's in a sort of limbo, because it's possible, but you wouldn't know until a case is proved whether it is or not. It's difficult to know whether sticking a camera in front of somebody and publishing it that way is really different from printing it in a book.
The new legislation which is coming out refers to controlling this area and in fact licensing all local television. What's your attitude to this legislation as it stands?
Well, I think as it stands, it's not sufficiently clear. It doesn't place any liability to, say, the government of the day, who is ultimately responsible for whatever goes on in the country, for what goes on in a local community television scene. Now, I think the difficulty is, if the thing is to survive, it must generate its own economy, so that any subvention from the state or local authorities or anywhere else does not have strings attached to it. For that reason alone, if it is to be successful, Dublin, big as it is capable of supporting a joint effort between associations like Ballyfermot, you know, and there are others.
And in other areas. John Sweeney.
Yeah, I think this is basically what we're trying to do. Dublin is big enough to have a community set up television-wise. And since we've done a good deal of the spade work in Ballyfermot, we're prepared to send the message out to everybody who is interested in this particular thing. And as Jerry has said, I totally agree. The golden opportunity has now arrived for to clear up this limbo situation. We should not be left in this limbo situation, in our opinion, and I think in the opinion of most of our people. We are basically doing as the people wills us to do, nothing else. And I think we should be encouraged instead of being discouraged.
Okay, gentlemen, Mary, thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if there's any encouragement, I must say the bit of the programme I saw there reminded me of the very early days of Broadsheet, but then I'm old enough to remember it from 7 Days. Good night.